Contrary to what one might expect today, Counter-Strike did not always revolve around planting bombs and defusing them. The very first game mode developed and released was Hostage Rescue, a mode which is nowadays sort of the neglected and kind of unwanted child of Counter-Strike. But it used to be the prime thing before DE maps were introduced. A long time ago I made a video about the time when the defuse mode was a new thing in CS and how it looked originally and what kind of quirks it had. For example, the ability to plant the bomb anywhere on the map. Detonating the bomb outside on nuke was surely devastating for anyone nearby, but it wasn't sufficient to win the game. The fixed bomb sites were introduced to streamline the gameplay and also prevent jokesters from ruining the round by planting the bomb randomly in the wrong place. A similar thing used to be possible in hostage rescue maps, but more about that later. For the now longest time, CSGO features the revised hostage rescue mode. The cities simply pick up the hostage and carry it back to their spawn/the hostage rescue zone. This was done because originally the hostages relied on AI and actually had to follow you, which more than often proved to be difficult. In particular if the rescue route included negotiating difficult terrain. It usually happened that they just stopped. Asking them to follow you had to be repeated often since they got stuck basically everywhere. In addition, it happened more than often that hostages were standing around randomly and got caught in the crossfire and died. Though, honestly, I kind of like that, not killing the hostages, but adding the certain element of difficulty. Anyone who played Counter-Strike Source will remember the chaos that could ensue when the hostages were all over the place. This rogue element, the hostage AI, proved to be unusable for competitive gaming. And CSGO's revised mode was a valiant attempt of fixing the hostage rescue mode, but it didn't really catch on in the end. Even though there are some decent hostage rescue maps out there today. But way before that, in Counter-Strike Condition Zero, the hostages got a little AI upgrade, becoming even more of a rogue element. If not supervised by terrorist players, the hostages would try to make a run for it themselves. The hostages will also attempt to alert counter-terrorists nearby to their presence and even the presence of camping terrorist players. Their tendency to just wander off really used to startle me a few times when testing my maps. Totally forgetting that they can move around independently, I was pretty startled when they suddenly stood in an unexpected location. Weird ghost creepy things. Oh, and by the way, to keep up with my trend of pointing out cut ideas that came back in some form, Gearbox Software's unreleased version of Counter-Strike Condition Zero already featured kneeling hostages like in CSGO today, with the difference that you of course didn't carry them around. In Counter-Strike 1.6, the basic Counter-Strike you get on Steam nowadays, the hostages are rather dim fellows. They are not reacting to their surroundings at all, but otherwise working very much exactly like in the other games. They just listen to the counter-terrorists' command to follow them and be rescued into thin air at the rescue zone. But back when Counter-Strike was brand new, things used to work a little different. In the very first version of Counter-Strike, the whole thing was incredibly clunky, as one could expect from a beta.
Naja, ich weiß irgendwie nicht, wie man Waffen kauft oder wechselt. Vielleicht habe ich auch einfach kein Geld, aber ich habe eine Pistole.
Also ich weiß nicht, wie lange das Spiel schon läuft, aber ich bin die ganze Zeit nur noch tot.
Hier drüben will's nicht ganz?
Geht ihr noch?
Ja, Nils probiert gerade Philipp zu erschießen, der auf dem Haus gegenüber steht. Und Philipp wurde gerade erschossen.
Naja, ich habe einfach wild durch die Gegend geschossen. Ich glaube, die Luft habe ich getroffen.
Before playing, you had to manually bind several keys, and that included a hostage rescue key, because bringing the hostages back to your spawn point simply didn't do the trick. To rescue them, a console command had to be given, so you either had to bind it to a key or manually type in hostage into the console to rescue them, after of course leading them to an unmarked hostage rescue zone, which was your spawn, which was cause for a whole lot of annoyance. Probably the issue to grind your gears the most was the pathfinding though. The hostages in Counter-Strike 1.6 are usually pretty stupid, but these guys follow you in a straight line, so going down stairways usually proves to be too much for them. This railing here might as well be a concrete wall. You really had to micromanage those folks. Remember that dickish move of planting the bomb in a random place I mentioned in the beginning? In early hostage rescue scenarios, something similar was possible. Terrorists could command the hostages to follow them, just like the counter-terrorists. So taking the hostages with you or just hiding them in a different spot was a thing that could be done, turning Counter-Strike into a practical treasure hunt. And talking of monetary interests like a treasure hunt, know that terrorists could not rescue the hostages in the early beta, by command, nor by leading them into a rescue zone in later versions. If they were put into a rescue zone by terrorists, it simply didn't work. The cut feature of hiding and leading the hostages around as a terrorist player is an interesting quirk indeed, and I bet it was used for all sorts of shenanigans at the time. Imagine that terrorists could position the hostages freely in CSGO. Sure, that could end up in total chaos like it did back then, but honestly, I find the idea sort of intriguing of just hiding the hostages, leading to all different kinds of tactical situations, keeping the maps very fresh every time. But this could be abused massively, I guess. As always, I am interested in reading your opinions in the comment section down below. I read them all and I am happy to personally respond. By the way, quick disclaimer in the end. The LAN party footage you saw where we tested the Counter-Strike betas was recorded back in 2017, way before any lockdowns. And talking about LAN parties, let me quickly plug my LAN party video, here in the upper right corner. If you enjoyed the video, you know what to do. Give it a like, consider subscribing for future content, and maybe even support us on Patreon, as our supporters there got to see this video first. A heartfelt thank you to Lone Wolf Deconus, Zad Gladys, Wrapped in Glass, Cookie, Harrison Steffens, Plasma, Brass Jazz, Ptolemaier, Rainbow Flash, Grizzlyware, and a warm welcome to our newest supporters, Strange Module and Mr. Internator. To them and everyone else, thanks for watching. So, hopefully, see you guys next time. Until then, have a nice day, and as always, goodbye and guten Tag.